time management becomes more on you. When you're out on your own, it's very easy to waste time on things and to get lost down the rabbit hole of chasing or researching something. And so I build like a daily agenda or daily itinerary for myself so I can really program out my day and know that as long as I'm staying, I'm hitting the main points that I'm looking to do, but I'm also staying on this time frame, that I'm going to have a productive day.
Welcome, everyone, to the Road Less Traveled Show. This show is about successful people who left a prior career to start down a new path. I'm your co-host, Richard Coyne.
I'm your co-host, Bill Zahller.
Today, we have Terry Kipp that has joined us, and we are certainly looking forward to our discussion. Over to you, Bill.
Yeah, hi, Terry. Thanks for being on the Road Less Traveled Show.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on the show today.
Absolutely. When we start off, can you tell us a little bit about your former career and then what path you've transitioned to?
Sure. So my former career, I worked in the institutional side of real estate. So, I started out in asset management working at Prudential Real Estate Investors. But prior to that, I had some internships and some other more entrepreneurial jobs while I was in college that really, helped me get the real estate bug, so to speak. But moving into a professional career, I started at Prudential in asset management, oversaw right under $1 billion worth of commercial assets that I was in charge of the day-to-day operations on those. And then I transitioned over to JP Morgan, working more in an acquisition and development role, where I was across the Southeast region before moving to an ultra high net worth family office where I did acquisition development, really a variety of specialties there. But my background is in more institutional corporate real estate.
Well, excellent. Yeah. Well, then as you've transitioned to a new path, what path, where's that led you?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I've always been more of an entrepreneur. I had started a company when I was 15 years old, doing exercise equipment, selling exercise equipment to gyms. And so I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. And when I shifted into real estate in general and really was going down the institutional path, I had thought I was going to go more the investment banking, M&A route. But when I got exposure to real estate, I just fell in love with the business and the space. But when I transitioned from the family office, I switched over into really a sponsor, general partner sponsorship role, helping Park Capital Partners in that sense, and going out finding multifamily deals, underwriting multifamily deals, but also have a financial advisory business that I work with a number of family offices, institutions, as well as more mom and pop type of investors as well, where I do financial consulting and as well debt placement for those people. And it's been a great transition and networking tool for me to just continue to meet more and more people that are passionate about real estate.
That's great.
Awesome. Yeah. So Terry, when you were working for the larger firms before you really moved out on your own, is there a funny story that you can share, something that kind of made you ask, well, wait a minute, why am I doing this? This is driving me crazy. Why am I doing this?
Yeah, there's a lot of stories there. I think about some are kind of laugh at my pain type stories, where whether I was just, commuting to work and doing an hour commute each way in New York City and dealing with the subways and the snow and dealing with the weather. But the story that came to mind, I think to me was, we did a lot of outings when I was in New York to really bond with your team. And I had a great boss at the time, and he took everyone out on his boat on Long Island Sound, and we're having a great time, having drinks, and everybody's having a good time. And then I had a few drinks and had the liquid courage, and so I started to get a little bit more courageous out there on the water. And so we were doing tubing and kind of pulling. So I basically went to my boss, said, let's see what this boat can do. And next thing you know, I'm probably 15 feet in the air. So there's nothing bonding like quite bonding like seeing your colleague thrown about 15 to 20 feet in the air while on the water. So that wasn't a good look for me, but I had a blast and had some burns to show of that. But I think for me, the thing that really made me think about making that transition was just in my prior career, commonplace to work 60 to 100 hours a week, depending on volume, and just not getting the time to spend with family, and not having the time to travel and do things that my wife and I really are passionate about. I think after, really feeling comfortable in the skill set and knowing what we could do, it made sense to transition into something more entrepreneurial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, entrepreneurs, we're all in that direction right now, and you certainly are working hard, and and doing crazy hours, but at the same point in time, you're doing it for yourself. You're your own boss, rather than really working to enrich somebody else. Working to help somebody else build their wealth. You're working to build your own wealth by being more entrepreneurial and taking control of your path and in your destiny and where you're going. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And one of the things I found too was just the way that you can work. I mean, having a more autonomy structure where you can be flexible in how you work and how you network with people. I found, multiple productive results on that, where, I'm able to really be 10 times more productive than I would have been, because I have that autonomy to go to meetings, or I have that autonomy to do things that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do with my traditional job.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, the simple fact, sorry, Bill, the simple fact of really just being able to be more efficient with your time and not blowing an hour plus each way going to an office. I mean, certainly go to clients, go to cities, we travel, see properties and things like that frequently, but at the same point in time, that's at our control, rather than just, having to go physically somewhere to work. I've had the luxury, I guess, in a way of, even when I was in the W-2 world, of being able to be a remote employee for the past, prior 15 plus years or so. And that's huge, just not having to grind it out, sitting in traffic. So.
Oh, absolutely. And it saves so much of your time when you really can cut down your commute. And, that did happen when I moved to the family office. My commute, it became more of a 4-minute walk to work instead of an hour each way, which was great. But I still think, some of the meetings that you're in, some of the things that pull on your time, you're able to be more productive when you can decide on what's going to be the best use of your time versus being pulled into things that have to be done, instead of things that are really going to propel you forward in whatever your endeavors are. And so that I found the transition to be really enlightening and fulfilling. I mean, my family time has gone up substantially. I'm able to catch up with friends, and also I'm able to network in a more effective way than I could before, because I have way more flexibility in my scheduling to really make that happen. And that's been a game changer for me, especially in the business that I'm in, which is, going out, finding opportunities that are attractive, and also on the consulting front, being able to meet new people.
Yeah. Would you say it was one of your biggest deciding factors in, Terry, is the control of time, or is it always, since you started at a young age with an entrepreneurial bent, is it kind of always wanting to kind of set up your own shop, or what would you say?
I think for me, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I think I fell in love with real estate, and I knew it was important for me to go and build a skill set and build a foundation to what I was doing, and really build an expertise in the field. But for me, I think it's always been my goal to go out and partner with people and be in a more entrepreneurial setting in real estate. I viewed it outside of tech as like one of the last frontiers that I felt was like true entrepreneurial spirit that was still there in the space. Just a lot of ability to collaborate with people and meet new people in that space. So to me, it was always kind of the end result was always planning to go into a more entrepreneurial opportunity within real estate.
I agree.
Yeah, makes sense. So Terry, as you decided this is where you want to go onto a new path, were there some obstacles that you encountered along the way, something that you had to overcome?
Yeah, I think the first obstacle for me was just finding the right people. Finding people that you're aligned with, finding people that you share a similar vision with and values with, that you trust and that you can really partner with. I'm very critical on that. I think there's a high bar in terms of vetting people that you want to actually work with. And so I think in the beginning, that was the hardest part is really vetting people and meeting people and trying to make sure that this is the right person or group that you want to work with going forward. I think that's the first obstacle that I faced was really finding the right group of folks. And I think the second obstacle is there's a stigma. If you're in the institutional real estate world, transitioning away from that, everyone's like, "What are you doing?" You have a high profile job. You're doing huge deals. You've closed billions of dollars of transactions. So you always get some people who are a little critical of you leaving that world to take the new opportunities. And so I do think some of your old colleagues may at first be a little bit resistant on that, but as you actually close and you actually start doing deals, I think they come around. It just takes a little time to get them to see what you're really doing.
Yeah, certainly. Anytime you are in one type of an area and then you wind up moving to do something different, it's going to take your colleagues a little while to get used to thinking of you in a different light, in a different field, on a different path. I've certainly experienced some of that since I changed paths myself. But yeah, it's definitely something where you got to people have certain assumptions about where you're going to go and why you're in the field and what you're going to keep on doing and what your future looks like, and that doesn't necessarily always jive with what you want to do. So yeah,
absolutely.
And I would say there's also some kind of, maybe on some level, certain people like a resentment too, that you've actually made the move that people wanted to make, but they didn't have, for whatever circumstances or courage, whatever, didn't actually make the move to go do something else. Like you're almost, well, you're better than us, but you have your own vision, which is different, which I think there's some kind of, you were part of a team and then you went out on your own. So there's some kind of natural resistance to some of those ideas too.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people also, and I've seen this happen where a lot of people left their jobs, they try to do something new and it didn't work out. They were doing it for 6 months or a year and they go back to what they were doing. And I think, I try to be very methodical in how I approach this. When I made the transition, some of the things that I basically put in place, I found a group, Park Capital, that I knew I trusted and wanted to work with going forward, a more entrepreneurial endeavor. And then I also, the family office turned around and became one of my first clients on the consulting business that I'm running. And then the third thing was I had been buying real estate and building passive income and investing in deals to build passive income along the way. So I had other income to offset and to really prolong that approach, give yourself some runway to make the transition and not, I think some people, they only give themselves a few months or something to try something new. And I knew this is something I really wanted to do. So I tried to make sure I had a runway that would give me enough time to really get the businesses off the ground and to really get traction with it. And I think that's something that I've seen a few people struggle with. But I think that for me, that was important to do, just to give me more of a longer runway to give yourself time to transition and actually build those businesses out.
Yeah, I think that's critical. We've often quoted, it was Tony Robbins or who initially said it, but you overestimate what you can do in 1 year and underestimate what you can do in 10 years. Kind of, you're not allowing enough time to actually the effort you're putting out to come back. You reap the rewards of the effort you put out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, critical in that. Well, Terry, what was one of the first victories you can recall on your new path?
Yeah. So the first victory, I was still actually working at the family office, and I had started consulting with people I knew in my network. And there was an individual that I became friends with who was buying vintage assets, but just doing a really good job. He was located in Kentucky, and just phenomenal sponsor, but did smaller projects. But he had acquired a decent sized property through 100% financing, and came to me through a referral, and I helped that individual restructure the deal. We refinanced him out. He was probably a month away from having to actually put cash into the deal to get his investors out because of the timing and the way the debt was accruing. And so we were able to get him successfully refinanced, got everyone out of the deal. He ended up becoming the sole owner of that deal and continued to grow his business. But I think that victory was not only a pretty good compensation, it was probably half of my salary that I was making at the family office at the time, but it was a very fulfilling victory in the sense that I added a lot of value to someone else's business and helped them become more successful and become more sophisticated in how they're operating their business. And so that's really what spun off the interest of opening up a consulting arm to not only network, but to help other people that maybe doesn't have the same background that I have on the institutional side on how to structure debt or how to really structure equity, or even questions around operations and things like that I can add value to. So that's where it really opened up that business for me. And it was a very fulfilling victory that I had early before I even made the leap and actually left my prior stint.
That's great. Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. So Terry, in your new entrepreneurial path that you're on now, is there a funny story you can share? Something humorous?
Yeah. So there was something that happened fairly recently. I am just being kind of used to the institutional world. You always want to be professional, dress professional, and especially when you have a new meeting. And so we were on a tour recently, and I made a note to bring an extra shirt. I'm a little messy eater sometimes at lunch, so I always want to bring extra clothes with me, and even made a comment about that. And then we were on a property tour, and in 2 seconds into the tour, they offered me a coffee, which I'm immediately going to take. I mean, I'm a coffee drinker. And so I take that. We're going through the tour, and within the first few minutes of the tour, I dump coffee basically all over my dress shirt, my suit, everything. And, it was the first impression meeting a broker, a property manager, and it was already in the tour. I mean, I can't go back and change my shirt at this point in time. And so, unfortunately, it was a little embarrassing, but, it happens. But that was something that happened recently that I mindfully tried to avoid by being prepared, and it just was not meant to happen.
Best laid plans.
Excellent. Terry, where are you today on your journey toward your new career path?
Absolutely. I mean, things have been going great, really on both fronts. On the multifamily side, we've done fantastic. We've closed 3 transactions, round tripping 2 of those transactions. It's going to be a fantastic result. So couldn't be happier with the performance that's been done on that front. The consulting business is continuing to grow, building new client bases in family offices and even at the institutional level that are starting to come in and needing certain types of work done. So overall, I mean, it's been great. The earning capacity has been way better than what I've done on the corporate side. And it's been more fulfilling overall, just having the flexibility to spend time with family and to really travel at will in terms of where we'd want to go and what we would want to do. So it's been a fantastic transition thus far.
Great.
Very nice. Very nice. Terry, what's the future? Where's the road take you from, way down the road? Where does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, my goal is to really continue to build up, Park Capital to where we're attracting more and more investors and institutional investors and really scaling our business in a different way. I think there's a lot of offerings that can be done there with our skill sets that we have. I think, tackling newer projects that could be more long-term holds and also attracting different family offices into those deals. I think there's a lot of ways to grow the portfolio and offer clients and investors a variety of options from, core plus all the way to opportunistic strategies. So I think on that front, I'm really excited and optimistic that we're going to make those strides and be able to offer those different strategies to our investors. On the consulting front, I think my goal is to just continue to be more efficient with time. And so a lot of what I do between debt placement, financial advisory work, I'm probably trying to scale up the debt placement more than the financial consulting just to really maximize time and be efficient as possible and stay more focused on the acquisition front and finding different ways to grow and build out our strategies there.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, Terry, what's something you've recently implemented in your business to help you grow, with the exception of having extra shirt and a tight coffee lid?
Those are the necessities there.
That's right.
That's the most important thing. No, I think for me, really the daily monitoring of effective tasking. So making sure that the tasks that you're giving yourself for the day are meaningful, and really kind of asking the question, if I can only get three things done today, what are those 3 things? What do they need to be? and then monitoring that daily and trying to figure out, is this really the items that's going to get me to the productivity that I want and the outcomes that I want for my business, and really trying to make sure that you eliminate more than what you focus on. So you can be hyper focused on those key items that's going to drive results for your business. And so one of the ways I did that was I have a peer mentor that is also a business professional that we sit every quarter and we go over those things. So you have kind of an accountability partner to really evaluate what you're doing, getting a third party opinion on what's actually happening in your business and helping you really structure that. And I advise to find a mentor that's in the business that you're in and has done what you want to do, and try to get that individual to help be an accountability partner. And maybe you take them to lunch, or you take them to dinner once a quarter, and you have a discussion around these items. But to me, that's been critical in finding ways to scale fast, is by leveraging expertise of people that's already done it, and having an accountability partner to make sure you're staying on focus and on task with that.
That's great. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, actually, I don't know if we've said this story before or not, but as Bill and I were really diving into really trying to get our business off the ground early days, we made essentially, held each other as accountability partners in the fact that we literally had a document we were updating both daily. I'm going to do these things, I'm going to do these things, and I've accomplished this, and back and forth, just kind of build upon each other, and that was something that really helped. And I like the idea of a conversation like you described with your accountability partner as well. But there's lots of ways to do it. But I think, again, having somebody that somebody that you don't want to disappoint is very valuable. So
yeah, and I would just add to that. I mean, I think when you do make the shift from more of a traditional career to a more entrepreneurial career, time management becomes more on you. In my opinion, I mean, unless you're in a management role or something like that, where you're leading a team and you're helping structure other people's time. I think when you're out on your own, it's very easy to waste time on things and to get lost down the rabbit hole of chasing or researching something. And so I think having an accountability partner on that as well, of how you structure your day, how are you, I build like a daily agenda or daily itinerary for myself, so I can really program out my day and know that as long as I'm staying, I'm hitting the main points that I'm looking to do, but I'm also staying on this time frame, then I'm going to have a productive day. And I think when you make that shift, it becomes more important to be really structured on how you're managing your time and what you're spending your time on.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm become a big fan of like blocking out chunks of time to work on, research something or deal review, whatever it is, versus if you don't really carve anything out or take time to dive deep into something, I think you're constantly distracted by emails or, one other thing or small little items when you get off your to-do list. But like you said, they're not really making the important forward progress or working on the thing that's going to advance your business versus working in your business or on your business, right? There's the back office stuff, but then also the main thing you need to actually grow your business is what you should be focused on.
Absolutely.
Time, kind of the 80-20 rule on that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to do that, the 80-20 study on your business, what's driving results, what's not, what are things that are tasks that you can outsource that doesn't have a large meaning to your business, and really trying to evaluate that as often as possible. Because I think as your business changes, those little tasks also change. And sometimes, something that you start having to do that's more administrative, that's not adding a lot of value to the revenue side of your business, you can outsource that. And so I think you constantly have to be reflecting on your daily tasks and what you're doing, what you're spending your time on, what's driving results. And all of my peers that are doing that are having success. I think what can be measured, is basically what can be achieved. And I do believe that to where I think it's really important. I mean, that's been probably the single most important change that I've done, is making the focus on what you're doing the priority, and ensuring that you're spending time on the right things.
Yeah. So Terry, what advice would you give somebody who's looking to perhaps make a career change, a path change? What would you say?
Yeah, I think that in the beginning, network with people that are doing what you want to do is highly important. Really get a feel for what it's like doing that thing. If it's something that else is already doing. So if there's people who's already done that path and has paved the way, I would definitely try to seek out advice from those people to get a feel for what that life is really like. And then if you have the opportunity, volunteer your time or find a way to get involved in that activity early to really feel it out and see, is this something I really want to leave the current job I have to pursue? Try to validate that as much as you possibly can, because I've had a few people in my network who's left, pursued something, they ended up not really liking it, and 3 or 4 months later they're right back in the same career path that they were in. And so I think try to validate those interests as much as you can before taking the leap, and giving yourself time to really reflect on if this is a good fit for you or not.
Makes sense.
Yeah, good advice. Absolutely. Well, Terry, what's the best ways for the listeners to reach out to you?
Absolutely. So if there's any investors that are interested in learning more about what we're doing at Park Capital Partners, you can reach out to Terry at parkcapitalpartnersllc.com. If there's anyone out there that's more interested in the financial consultant or debt placement business that I run, you can reach out to Terry at quantifiedcapital.com. And I'd love to hear from whether you're an investor or another individual that may need consulting help. Reach out, introduce yourself. I'd love to have a conversation.
Great. And we'll add those in the show notes below there, Terry. Excellent.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Yeah. So, well, we want to thank you, Terry, for being a guest on the Road Less Traveled show. Appreciate it and wish you future success, of course, with us and your own business on the side.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to hopefully revisiting the conversation again soon.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. We'd also like to thank our audience for listening. Please give us a 5-star rating. We really want to keep doing this show and bringing more and more guests on so we can share knowledge, and we appreciate you listening and tuning in. We'd also like to thank our sponsor, Park Capital Partners. Please reach out. Let us know how we can help you and support your interests in passive investments and building your wealth. And finally, folks, the road less traveled may be calling you. We recommend that you listen and take action. Thanks for joining.